Welcome to the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Join your hosts, three-time WBFF world champions and WBFF royalty, Alicia Gowans and Stephanie Ayala McHugh, as we explore all things female health, training, competing, mindset, and living the fitness life every day.
So welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the Queen Divas podcast with my beautiful co-host, Stephanie Ayala McHugh. And we are coming back together after a few weeks of nothing because we've both had crazy stuff going on. And I'm kind of jealous because you have fun stuff like snow.
Oh, yes. Catching everybody up. We got hit with some snow here in Texas. So it has been a little icy, a little chilly, as we can say. You know, it's pretty cold right now. It's like sub 20s. So it is definitely pretty freaking cold. For those that live in the north, I know you guys make fun of us, but we don't see this very often, you know, throughout the year. It's not like something that's never happened here, but still it's very like surreal once it is here. So
I actually can't imagine Dallas having snow because
it's white right now. It's like
it's
fully
crazy.
white. You know, it's funny. A
crazy.
lot of people think winter, like usually would start talking about seasons, right? We go into the winter thinking like December is winter going into the holiday here, right?
Yeah.
Well, winter doesn't really hit Texas until honestly February. Like it just gets
really
cold in February. Yeah. So going into December, like this was probably the warmest December we've ever recalled here in Texas. And then going to January, we had a nice, obviously, trip to Cabo. So we escaped a little bit of like the mild cold that there was here. And now this feels like a blizzard. Like this is ridiculous. I'm not used to this. What about you guys? I think you guys are transitioning into like the fall, right?
No, like, nah, not at all.
No,
not
not
yet.
at all.
I'm only got this on because we
Summer?
literally just landed in Canberra, and Canberra's strange. It's cold at random times and then super hot at others. It's really weird, but it's a cooler day today. So landing here, it's
nice.
like the wind's up and it feels cold outside, but we're in the middle of our summer and it's humid and hot as shit. Like we've just been.
So you guys are at the climax, the peak, right now of your summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're entering for us, like I guess the peak of our winter since it hasn't been really bad lately. So
and for us, it's probably been a cooler summer than we're used to. Even in Brisbane, we've had cooler periods and we have, you know, super humid hot days, but there have been some really humid hot days and we've had a lot of rain. Like it feels to me like it's an overall cooler, more weathered summer, as in like we're getting a lot more storms. I think in Brisbane, my mom was telling me that when we were gone in Melbourne, they literally only had like one day of sunshine the whole time we were gone, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
The north here. It's like any of the northern states can relate to that. Like they get one sunny day, or they get like 1 month of the year that has sun, which is kind of crazy. A lot of Canadians can relate to that too.
And when we were in Melbourne, we had scorching hot days, so humid, so disgusting. Yeah.
Oh man, when I went, well, come on.
I
went in the peak. I went in the peak, and I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it was February 2019. Now that I'm actually reflecting back, it's like, holy crap, it was exactly this month. You know, a few years back, and it was at your climax point. I remember it was humid and it was hot. Muggy and hot. Yeah. Like everybody called AC aircon. I'm like, what's this aircon? And then, air conditioner. Shit. I love y'all's lingo, by the way. All my Australian listeners. I love it.
I always laugh at how many times I've had to explain what fortnight is with my international clients. Like if I say, you know,
especially USA,
they're like, what's fortnight? Or if we use the word arvo and they're like, what's arvo? No. What are you talking about?
Like avocado? Like, okay. I would think like over here, avo is like avocado.
No, arvo is a short abbreviation for afternoon. I can still remember the first time I had to meet Toby somewhere. This was about 10 years ago. And I'm like, Toby, I'll just meet you there in the Arvo. We'll go to and I gave him these instructions and he's come back to me and he's like, what? I'm meeting you where? When? I'm like, Brits. You don't
It's
know
nice.
what art movies.
It's nice. I was the American asking for ketchup in Australia, and they're like, "You meant tomato sauce?" So right upon us, guys, yeah, we're entering the competition season, and I think this is one of the most anticipated seasons, especially within the WBFF. April is kind of like the show opener where we start getting that ball going, and we're working really hard with the team. Allie, I know, is working really closely with her team. You guys have a show in Australia, and we have a show here in Orlando.
Our first show of the year is the weekend before the Orlando show. So what we were trying to do,
so you guys are the show opener.
Yeah. So what we were trying to do was organize to jump on a plane as soon as our show was over on the Sunday to come over to Orlando for our Orlando team. And we're still waiting. We have been trying to organize this for about the last 2.5 months, but the airfare and the frequency of flights from Australia to the US is really minimal at the moment. So we've been trying to work around the options and what we've got available to us and what would even get us in, sort of a couple of days before the show type thing. And we're still waiting on our flight agent to come back to us with another alternative, because 2 of the ones that she presented just weren't going to work. So
this is in the works. We might have
we are fingers crossing that we get to come across.
We get to reunite finally.
Yeah. Well, if it happens, what we'll do is we'll do Orlando, then we'll come across and stay with you and Kerry for a few days, whatever, before we fly home.
Yes, please.
Hoping that we can get a goddamn airline and flight that works. Like,
I am going to tour that belly around and making sure that you get fed, and obviously you get a really good experience and time over here. I'm excited to see you guys again. And you guys have usually an amazing team going into these shows too. So we normally, like to, get
have a lot of
girls. Yeah, guys are girls together, guys together, and make sure that everybody, has a good time, since we consider Allie's Angels and Dynasty, an actual sister team. So we came up together, and Allie, you coming over to the States would be absolutely incredible. So tell us about, when's it, you said it's the weekend before Orlando. So that would, what weekend does that fall on for? Is it the Gold Coast? Is it Gold Coast?
Hang on, I'm trying to work it out now. I don't even remember.
Is it the location Gold Coast, or is it Sydney? Where do you guys have
Gold Coast? So we're
Gold Coast.
What date's the Orlando show?
We have it the 15th and 16th.
Yeah. So we're the 8th. I thought so. So we're the registration on the 8th, show on the 9th. And
nice.
Then it's Orlando the week later. Yeah.
Is that a pro show or is that a regional show?
No, I really honestly thought they might have made it a pro-am just because we missed our pro-am last year. But they've decided, no, they're going to keep only the one pro-am here, which will be the same one as usual in October. So this one is just going to be an amateur only show, but it's going to be pretty big. Like, the numbers already look huge.
Well, I'm sure you guys are just antsy. I'm sure everyone from all the canceled shows last year are just ready to get on stage no matter what. Sure, you guys are going to have a lot of traveling too. I think
because New Zealand got cancelled and New Zealand's bubble is opening up now, they'll be able to fly to Australia as of the 27th of February. So we're going to see, a massive number of people, I think, wanting to come across and compete from there. I mean, we have several New Zealand athletes in our team for the April show that we're prepping just in case. And then thankfully it's come through. So they've not been prepping for nothing, which is nice. So it'll be a really decent show. And this is the show where they have, our transformation division. So it'll be a really beautiful,
which by the way is my favorite class.
I love it.
Always has been and always will be. It's very, very dear to me. I think those that undermine it and actually think like it's they feel offended. Like if you actually tell them to start in transformation, and it's not because we think lesser of you. It's because you actually have to go through that transforming journey before you actually start trying to be competitive with not just yourself, right? So I find that transformation so beautiful. And so if you guys have never seen it, for those that haven't listened, transformation is where you're able to showcase, your weight loss journey. It doesn't have to just be a weight loss journey. It can just be, a survival journey of using fitness as an outlet to, obviously cope or become better, whether if that's a sickness, a disease, an accident, some type of injury, right? Like something that inhibits you from training. I remember my first pro show, I cried with the girl in a wheelchair, right? She just strolled herself out there. And I just remember coming into tears, like I'm over here complaining about my heels, right? Like I'm complaining about me walking in these heels, and this girl can't even walk, on stage, and she looks so confident. And it's just one of those things that once you see that class and when they come out and that joy, it's just incredible. So definitely
it's rarely a dry eye in the house for that category.
Sure.
Like
and never
beautiful.
Never feel guilty or never feel like you're lesser for starting in transformation. It's a great way for you to get your feet, into the WBFF, understand the ins and out of the show, and know if this is really something you want to do. I think this is not made for everybody, which competition season is crazy. I feel like all my clients are starting to already get so antsy. They're starting to get already in their head. I'm like, guys, we're February. Like we're barely February 1st at the, at the beginning of the month. I'm sure we're, not so far, away from the beginning, but it's just crazy how.
What are your top freakouts? Give us.
Oh my God. Am I going to be ready? Am I going to be ready? That's I swear to God, probably the most common question. And you can probably relate to this, right?
I'm laughing because I'm hearing all the same stuff. So, or it's my weight hasn't moved and it's been 5 days.
Oh my God. I started the diet 3 days ago. Why am I not seeing any changes? It's like, oh my God. Like you guys just got serious, like maybe a week ago. And you thinking that a week of doing everything perfect to the T, I've ate everything on the meal plan, done all my cardio sessions, and I've worked out.
I should have dropped
for a week. I'm like, a week straight. Look at your previous history, please. Like, look at what you did before that, and maybe what you ate before that. So maybe don't jump into maybe thinking that things are going to happen so quickly. So I think am I ready is probably the most overused and probably the most
and then it's, when someone says, am I ready? It's like, compared to what, right? Like it's what are you comparing it against when you ask, am I ready or will I be ready? You're peaking for a certain time. We're not at that time yet. There's a lot of time between now and that time, and that's up to you to tick the boxes, you to be consistent, you to be adherent, you to be compliant, you to put in the intensity, you to put 100%. In the sleep.
And we can't come down to that. No matter how many times they ask that question, do you know what you do in the middle of the night? Right? Or like, do we know, like, if you're actually adding on the weight and you're just not like trying to lie to the coaches to make them, think that they're actually lifting or doing the exercises? Like, we know, just everybody out there that's listening to you, and these are our clients, right? We know when you don't do the program and you just think that we believe that you're doing it, because you're checking it off, or you're doing that accountability side, but you're not following maybe everything to the T. So only because you just jump back on the bandwagon, like for a week or 2 weeks, don't expect to see that progress immediately. I think another one is, Ali, you relate probably another to this one is, you don't know how bad I want to win that crown. And honestly, I think that one is probably just kind of like a slap to the face.
It's I really want, I want to go pro, but I'm expecting it first go, or I'm expecting
that's the same exact same mindset.
You know what I mean? And my actual question whenever I hear someone say that is, okay, great. So what are you going to do when you are? What are you going to do with it? What's it going to change for you? What's it going to do? What magically is going to appear in your life like a unicorn and be different if you get that little piece of paper? Because that's effectively what it is, team. Little piece of paper.
Exactly.
But if you get that, and you get that this time versus 3 more times, which is what it probably most likely will take, because the stats, just so you're all aware listening to this, is that it can be anywhere between 3 to 7 shows before you go pro. That's it. That's the stats. Hard, fast facts.
Watch so many shows all between that. Pro.
So you might be amazing. You might look amazing. That doesn't mean that the girl you're standing next to hasn't already been on stage 3-4 times already and has kept coming back and improving and progressing. So that's not to say, should you not go pro, you don't have the potential to. It's to say that the girl next to you has gone away and kept working hard at it to come back even better. So now that's your turn to go away, work hard at it, and keep coming back even better. So I guess, the key to this is look deeper for bigger whys than just a piece of paper and a title in your Instagram banner, because it really doesn't mean much. And unless you're doing something out of it, you're making a business out of it. And let me just be frank, if you don't already have a business doing anything with anything in fitness, that's a hard slog. It's a very saturated market, and you're going to have a lot of hard work ahead of you. So it doesn't magically make you successful, rich, or clients flooding at your gates, because it does not. There's a long path for you to walk after you go pro if it's about revenue too. My point is, have a bigger, better reason than just the piece of paper and just a status thing, because you might not get it first time around. So you better have something else driving you, motivating you, continuing to push you to get it. And then when you do get it, have the right approach to what it means. Don't be entitled. Don't have expectations that are unrealistic, and know that just because you get it, you become a goldfish swimming with the sharks real fast.
Man, Allie, I couldn't agree more. Like, you hit everything on the head, and that was well said. There really is that mindset of thinking like, I have to win my first show because so-and-so did it. Or I've watched Rachel Dillon win her first world title and won the crown and can become the world champion on her first, attempt. Like, guys, it's not saying that it's impossible. You just have to be realistic. It's very rare. And it is
very, very, very,
and you can be the unicorn. You can be I'm not telling you can't be that unicorn, but let's be realistic, right?
Exactly.
Allie and I have seen so many statistics, and yes, it's going to take you multiple tries, and you shouldn't, actually quit just because first time you didn't do well.
And I think that's the point of our conversation, is it have tenacity, have resilience, have patience, and have realistic timelines. And, if you're not coached by one of us and not having someone have really honest conversations like Steph and I both do, then you need to be sitting down and having that honest conversation with yourself, and then raise it with your coach and be like, look, this may take us a few goes, but I'm in it for the long haul because it means a lot to me. And now, for me, I'm going to turn up on this stage the best I've looked yet. And when I turn up next time, I'll be better than this will be, and that's the attitude you've got to have. So,
and it's going momentum. Like, I feel like this momentum that gets built, from doing, doesn't mean you have to do multiple shows. That's not what we're saying. It just means that you actually have to think of the future post show. Like, the show it's not the deadline. Yes, it's the deadline, but there is still an after. And if we just think of the win, oh my gosh, I've watched girls win, and the win actually isn't satisfying. Like, it's satisfying to an extent because they knew that they won, but it didn't fulfill that gap of what they thought it was going to do. Or like you actually said it well, Allie, about like thinking that this pro status or a crown or anything like that by winning first place is going to bring you, money, or your business is going to grow. Like,
and it doesn't. For most people, and I'll be very frank, for very few will it translate to an additional.
But those are that already invested into their business brand and are actually invested and involved in the industry already. I find that the ones that start because they think, oh, well, now I can become an online trainer because I'm a pro, and you don't really even like people. Let's just put it that way. You don't even like people. Like, how can you go from not liking people? Like, I came from a customer service industry, so I like people to an extent. Okay. I don't like how humans can, work, because of our victimology and all of this type of mindset. But that's something that can actually be broken. It's about actually, following the right path, having the right people in your corner, and you can actually change. But I mean, that's because I love changing actually somebody's life, making an impact. I don't want to be for, I guess, the general public. And I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm okay with not being, the coach for everybody. I think this is very, very diverse worlds where there's going to be someone for you, and if you want a coach that's going to be maybe a little more flexible, then, go find maybe a more flexible coach, if you want somebody more strict, going with something a little more strict, or if you don't like maybe somebody being a little more blunt with you and having a little tough love, then that's probably not someone you should be with.
I always think it's better to be very honest about your style and very, honest about where you're at and what you're willing to put in, right? And what I mean by that is some people just don't want to know the truth. They want someone to tell them what they want to hear. And there are a lot of coaches out there that will do that, so I agree with you. I think, you should walk away from something that isn't going to give you what you need at that point in time. And as a coach, you should be able to tell someone to walk away. I think it's super, super important.
Yes, this comes in this. Look, if you're a client that just hops from coach to coach, it's probably not the coach. Let's just be honest. Right?
There's a common denominator, and it's not all the people.
Yeah, it's probably not just the coach that's the problem here. Not saying that they don't have some issues, but if you are a coach hopper, let's look a little bit more internally, right? And actually see what is it that you're not coachable with. There's something that you continue trying to seek that is not matching, right? Or falling the way you want it to fall. And it just makes you uncomfortable, right? So yes, being true with yourself and having those harder conversations if you don't have a coach. And this is still, really relative with our competitive season because we're all here trying to better ourselves, right? I think the competition season arises so much notion around, oh, I want to maybe compete. This is around when people that aren't competitors already, right? Like maybe they're newbies or have been on the fence and have been wanting to compete. This is kind of when they're scouting and looking for coaches or shows, right? Like what show could I potentially do? What coach could I go to? And they're like, maybe, pricing or trying to do all this stuff. Like, look, there's way more to than just the interface of what
my God. So
actually reflects, right? And you really do have to connect. You have to know your own personality, their style. But this goes into, are you really ready to compete? This is a question that I really have to always ask any client of mine that's kind of having that itch or like on the fence of, hey, I want to become a competitor. Like this is something I want to do. I mean, yes, it's an amazing journey, guys, but being competitive too also, it's opening the door to self-sabotage. And I find that is one of the bad areas to be before you start, obviously a prep. I mean, we've talked about bad relationships with food, definitely a no-no, right? Like off limits if you already in let's say a chronic diet or really struggling with relationship with any food groups and you're not ready,
you shouldn't be considering it, no, because it's only going to exacerbate it and potentially lead you down a wormhole of way worse behaviors and thought processes, right? So true. Absolutely. And I think this is probably going to be indicative too in some of the questions that people are throwing at us around this time as well. And if you are incapable of looking at your own lane and you constantly look sideways and do this big comparison thing, and you're comparing your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 59, which is just ridiculous, then again, I think you're probably not ready, because I think that your purpose and reason for competing might not necessarily come from the right space. And I think, when you are really intrinsically motivated and it's actually about your own personal development, and that should be first and foremost, you don't give a shit about what anyone else is doing. All you really care about is your own performance, that you're turning up, that you're, putting in the work, that you are bettering yourself, right? You really don't look at anyone. Like I've said this before in so many interviews over the last decade. Can you believe I've been a pro for almost a decade? Wow. And my thing is this
thing, Ali, that's awesome.
It is pretty awesome. I love it. When I do my comeback show, it'll almost be my decade celebration. So there's so much cool shit about my comeback show that I'm excited about.
Comeback, all these comebacks, cool story are making me so excited. Have a couple, girls that are just, coming from, either being pregnant or in this stage, and I'm like just so excited because I know you and them are going to be kind of like in that journey.
It's super, super cool. And getting back to this conversation though, this is actually truth. I don't follow any of my competitors. Anyone that I get on stage against, I only follow a couple of them that are
good strategy.
I'm friends with, that I, respect, that, are worthy of my time really. But I don't look at them. I don't care. When I'm prepping and I get people send me stuff, I'm like, don't send me. Like, I don't need to know what Joe's doing.
Not a good person.
I'm not interested. I'm too busy doing me. So I also have the mindset that, hey, I bet they're all watching me. Let's let them watch. I don't need to watch them, right? So I think that when you have that attitude and you're just so insular in your journey, there's really not going to be much that can distract you or derail you. And I think that's super important. And again, I bring it back to, if you are in the right space to compete, this is what it should look like. You shouldn't have comparison. You shouldn't be worried. You shouldn't be, because it's not about anyone else. You do this for you.
Not at all.
And you have a bigger, deeper why that should be connected to something relevant to you, that has nothing to do with external validation, status, followers, likes, revenue, and other fucking people. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but it shouldn't. So if
No,
you're
it
asking your
never
coach
should.
about it, I want you to sit down and reflect on what I just said and think, am I self-sabotaging myself? And go and detox your feed and get rid of the people that you're worried about for whatever dumb reason you're looking at Mary Jane.
Honestly,
and
just
thinking
get
she's
off
gonna beat
social
you.
media.
Like, get
If you're
off.
at that place, like if
Get
you
off
are
it.
already at that place and you just cannot stop, you just need to get off. Like that's
Yeah.
just really the thing that you've got to
Agreed.
do. You've got to block it off. You should just delete the app, honestly. Like the best way to
I've
do
taken it off of
it's-
athletes. I've actually
Yeah,
logged
just
some of my
delete it.
pros out of
Doesn't
their
mean your
accounts.
account is
Yeah.
deactivated, okay? Just means the
Fine.
app isn't there to not mess with you, meaning that you
Yeah.
won't have the tendency to go and click that button. Like sometimes you don't even realize. I'll be sometimes, you know, with my phone, I'm like, how the hell did I even get to this app? Like I wasn't even doing anything on here, you know, but your freaking fingers are like already like just hypnotized, I guess, and you know, mechanically just go straight into certain apps, and you're like, how did I get here? What am I even searching for? What was I doing? Right? Like, and it's really easy to lose that, not just train of thought, but also you spiral right into that comparison hole.
Yep.
I find like it's this big deep hole, this black hole that you get so hard to dig yourself out of, because then you've gotten so deep that you just continue comparing and nothing ever is enough for you because you don't feel like you're good enough for your own self.
But that's
You
where it becomes external to you, right? The journey is external to you. And that's crazy to me because this journey is a really big internal locus of control, right? It's you having a locus of control over your immediate actions that you need to take in order to be able to present that physique on the deadline date, right? So why the hell should you care what anyone else is doing or not doing? And you're only seeing 5 minutes of their highlight reel anyway. Like, forget about them, you know, just drop it. Like, that's my first thought process. And, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I sort of get at this point in time is girls start freaking out. And along with your, you know, am I going to be ready or do I look ready for where I should be at right now is, but she looks like this. And oh my God, which I'm on stage with her. And then they start seeing all the pictures and you're like,
I'm not gonna lie, I've been there. So I'm not gonna, I mean, I'll be honest, I've been there. Like I remember my first show, like I had already selected the first show. And I remember, you know, starting to like look at who was going to be the girls in my class. And who was
I've never done that.
You know, that was okay. Look, I was an amateur. I learned real fast. Like I learned really fast not to do that. Because you just go into this big sour attitude thinking, oh, the show's fixed. Oh my God, they picked her because she had more followers. Oh my God, like she is a, you know, fake butt. Whatever the hell your excuses are, you know, about why that person won or why that person you're going up against is going to beat you. Most likely they're going to beat you because of all these excuses
you've told yourself.
Right? Yeah, you told yourself 100%. That already. And 100%. Going into my first ever show, I remember, for those of you that, you know the name, Roberta Zuniga, she's like, if we talk about her profile, she's like 5 or 6 million on, you know, Instagram. And I remember just already being a follower of hers. Like it wasn't somebody that I had looked up. I just remember running across my feed and finding out she's doing the same freaking show that I had just registered for in the same class. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, damn it. And I remember actually, instead of exciting me, which things now,
it freaked you out.
Different mindset. Oh yeah, it freaked me out. Like it freaked me out versus then the whole time I remember just like staring like at her stories every time she fucking posted anything.
You know, so funny though. And the main reson I probably never did it anyway was because, babe, I didn't even have Instagram when I first stood on stage and won all my I didn't even have it. I think I said when I won my first title, which was my very first show, I literally set up Instagram after that. And I think when I went pro in the WBFF, I had like maybe 300 followers.
So that was my situation. They were all my actual college and high school friends and family. Crazy. And you know, that was just my internal circle. It was just like 300 people. And I remember, this is just again prior to my competitive, you know, journey, and I picked that show and I thought it was a one and done. I don't know if we've talked about you know, our journeys going into competing, but once I realized I was hooked and I was actually like, oh wow, this is something I really want to do, let's pick another show, then I was, you know, really ready to actually think I can win. I never really went into that show thinking like I'm gonna win, but I remember making it making me so sour about her already being there because of me already following her every fucking footstep, thinking that, I'm going up against this gal. And anyway, that lets you realize so quickly the power of the mind and how overthinking is going to stress the hell out of you. And 100%. Which leads into one of the most common things I'm also getting right now from clients. It's not even just as much questions as much as it is them dealing with anxiety already, which I find way too early. I'm like, it's just way too early.
Commentary about their internal dialogue just being, verbally diarrheaed onto us. And it's sometimes it's
all the time.
It's a scary spew fest. I tell you, some of the things they come out with, I'm like, whoa.
Where did that come from? And then you're like, wait,
sit down.
Or you know what I love, honestly, is like if they like let it out, right? And like you don't even respond, like you just give them a moment and then just respond, I'm fine now. I'm sorry for that. I honestly find that that's probably the most funny to me, just because I get it. I get that they're, obviously, like you said, spewing out all their feelings. And
sometimes too, what I found, and this might be the case for you, is that it'll be the ones that you think have actually got their shit together that all of a sudden will just sit down and go, they'll just dump some stuff where you're like, holy crap, okay, all right, wow, that wasn't what I was expecting. So, for everyone listening to this, it's totally normal if you are having a little mini freak out and you are someone that on the surface and maybe even to a deeper degree, internally, do tend to have pretty good balance and do tend to have most things figured out. It's okay to actually be nervous about a show. The one thing you don't want to do, though, is let that nerve completely derail you, and hijack your vehicle, because you still are in control, even though you might have to take a pause on the side of the road to have a breather. That's fine, but don't go giving up control to silly things like comparing yourself to others, or questioning your protocols, or questioning the fact that weight hasn't moved much in a couple of days, because guess what? You've probably got a whole heap of shit in your intestine to be passed. Like, I'm telling you, it can be the craziest little things, but they can become these big mountains, right? And my biggest piece of advice is, before you have any of those meltdown moments, just stop and take a breath and actually ask yourself, is this something that I'm really going to care about a week from now? And is it something that really, warrants losing sleep over tonight? Because most of the time you're going to say no to both of those questions, right? And it's, again, as I said, normal and okay to have some basic nerves, but I think talk through them before they become a massive meltdown. Actually,
and stop overthinking, people. I swear, like, one of 100%. The biggest keys here is you're overthinking. Like, you're overthinking your program. Am I doing enough cardio? Am I doing enough squats? Am I even hitting my glutes enough? Like, am I losing body fat quick enough? Am I dropping weight enough? Let your coaches worry about this. If you put in all your effort, if you actually give 100%, and you left no stone unturned, you went, max effort, max to your potential, then there's nothing that's going to make you regret being on stage or your whole prep. If you really are in good hands, which again, don't overthink it and start thinking your coaches are doing something not enough for you, or, maybe you're just not following the right protocols, because guess what? That's someone else that you're looking at, like comparing your journey, saying, well, they're doing, this much cardio, or they're not doing any cardio. Oh my gosh, how many times I get that. Like,
everyone's different. Like, oh my God, everyone's different. And then I'm just going to throw this out there, people freaking lie. People will post on socials that they're consuming 1,000 calories more than is actually feasibly capable, unless they're training 7 hours a day to maintain that figure. So don't believe everything that you freaking read on socials. Don't sit there and go, hey,
we know these people firsthand. So
like old love over here is cutting on 3,000 calories. Yeah, that's nice. I wonder what drug cycle she's running too. There's no way she'd be doing that on, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I'm saying to most of my clients, like, don't always take your space right now and say, well, I'm doing this, but she's doing the same thing over here, so therefore it should look the same. Everyone's individual. Everyone has a completely different set of parameters. Don't compare. And also, secondly, don't just take it at face value. Don't believe half the crap you see on Instagram, because I'm telling you, it is a lot of it not freaking real, or there's
crap.
other stuff going on behind the scenes
where they're trying to sell something. Okay.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if their business is online and if they are an influencer, most of the time they have to sell something. So if that is the case, and you're trying to follow in somebody's footsteps and think that this person's God, not to that extreme, but you follow them with so much inspiration and respect, and you think that you have to do their protocols the same exact way that they do.
Not going to happen.
It's not going to give you the same results. It might give you some results, to start, that's, I think, pretty normal for anyone that hasn't adapted to a new program. But it's not really going to be in longevity. It's not going to be something 100%. That's built for you. Something custom is custom to you. It's adjusted to you. So making sure that you don't allow your, mind to overpower you and really derail you from prep. A competitive season is also being competitive with your own self, which is where it starts. Not just against other people. Yes, actually, the act of it is, yes, you're going up on stage with other women. But if you think about it, instead of you going up to compete against other women or other men, you're going to be going up on stage with them. If you really think of it that way, you're going to just stop looking at who's next to you or how many people are in the show. It's probably another common question I get asked. How many people are going to be in the show? How many people will be in my class?
Who cares? Don't worry about it.
What if there's only 3 and what if there's, 150? Like, it doesn't matter. If you are your best, you're going to show up as your best. And that's what matters at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So if you give your all effort, your heart, give every little ounce of sweat you possibly can give, be very meticulous with your meals and be very meticulous with just your organizational skills and setting yourself up, you're going to do amazing. I don't care who you are. If you actually set yourself up and do these small things, you follow a custom program. I can't say if you follow a cookie cutter one, because I can't speak for that. I don't know what results you'll get, if any. So making sure, you do take care of these small things. You look at this season as a competitive season against yourself. These are some insights of some things that we've been dealing with, entering the season. We're not really even fully in it. We're barely entering it. We're starting to get to that corner where, yes, things are going to start getting a little tougher for some, clients that are for this first show of the year, especially since you guys are a week before ours. I completely get where their mind is going already. And this question about at 8 weeks out or 10 weeks out, am I ready? Come on, don't be, this is ridiculous. Like,
and
you
look,
should not be ready.
We've talked about this on a previous episode too, where, look, when you start to hit strides and straps and you're really sort of noticing it is at around that 6 week out mark, and between 6 weeks out and show day alone, the changes are pretty profound. Much. So, it just goes to show that you can't be looking at yourself at a static point in time at 12 weeks, 10 weeks out and being like, oh, but I don't think I'm where I should be. And that's why, again, I always throw up the question of based on what. The other thing that I always suggest to people too is that, and especially because if you're coming in from another show, another season and off season, and you've been improving from a stage to a stage, this isn't just a first time competitor here. These are our repeats. But don't look at your last prep and go, oh, at this point to stage, I look like this, because you should have more mass. There may have been other variables and, considerations in the off season, in the pre-prep. You might've been recovering reproduction. You might've been recovering, metabolic baselines. There might've been a push to actually get you to a healthy space in a caloric intake. So therefore your starting point might look different. There might be a healthier approach to the way you're tapering to stage to try to preserve more mass in the, process of losing body fat. There can be 101 reasons why you don't look like you did at the exact same time in the season prior. It doesn't mean though that you're not going to be better, because 9 times out of 10, you usually are. It's just, I think
for sure. If you're year round, if you're
people.
if you're a competitor that, trains year round, or someone like you said that, has done multiple shows and is doing them, I think it's a really good way to gauge kind of where you're at. Cause I do find that a useful tool, even kind of like for myself, when I compare my, let's say 12 weeks out versus, my 12 weeks out, from the previous years, it does help, but you have to also understand your body. And if you're going through the same process, it's just like Ali said, like if you're undergoing a building phase and you just were at the tail end of a building phase, you shouldn't look the same as being coming out from a reverse. Let's put it that way.
And a lot of the times where I see that is where someone's come from a really unhealthy prep, or they have literally had a conditioning level that's not even been right for their category. And then they're coming in and they're actually doing it right, or they're doing a much healthier prep process. And because of that, health
they don't look the same. Yes,
it looks different.
Yep.
But the reality is
water.
most of the time by doing that approach, they're going to nail the category criteria way better. So it's like getting it through their head that being dick skin lean in bikini is not appropriate. So now coming through and looking like a bikini girl looks really different. And that's a good thing. You might actually win something finally. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes, hitting on that, Ellie, because this kind of wraps up, our episode in regards to competitive season. Very important if you are switching over from federations, whether it's at the GC, INBA, OCB, or so many freaking A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever kind of federation you come from. I really highly recommend to be looking at a WBFF official coach, because it's really important to know that the criteria it's different across the board for all categories. And it's, even though it's bikini and all divisions, like in all type of federations, the division requirement looks completely different.
The conditioning level is very different. And also even the emphasis on
certain muscle groups,
anatomically incorrect muscle shape and groups is like, you know what I mean? Like where?
Like I don't want any quads on you, and let me give me the upper glute. Crazy. Don't give me hamstrings. Like just give me the glute and give me some delts. I'm like, what is wrong with this? Like this is so proportionate to the body. But again, to each their own. Everybody has their desired look of what they want to achieve, and choosing the brand and the federation that actually gives the look that you're trying to achieve, and being realistic of how close or how achievable that look is to you is very important. So, entering this, competition season, take notes on everything that we said. Hopefully you guys were able to learn a couple things and maybe reduce some anxiety and get, the stress out, knowing that it's okay to be where you're at in that, doubtful side of things, or feeling like you're not ready. Just do everything on your program, hit that cardio as hard as you can, hit those rates as hard as you can, give max effort to your max potential, and you'll honestly shine so bright to your best ability.
And I think that, the biggest key take home to this too is have really open, honest, and timely conversations with your coach surrounding whatever it is that is potentially, coming up for you, whether it's a little bit of nerves, whether it's a little bit of fear, whether it's a little bit of self-doubt, because everyone will do that at some point in time. Don't sit on it. Don't fester it. Don't let it boil over, and don't let it become something that makes you convinced that 6 to 7 other women on social media are going to beat you because of XYZ reasons, which are usually really stupid anyway. But you can talk through them, and you can save yourself and save your mental state and save your prep too before you go doing something that's self-destructive. So I think for everyone listening to this, check in, think about the things that might be going on for you internally, have discussions with your coach, be doing your check-ins thoroughly and providing the information that's required, plus any angst moments that you're having, because it gives the coaching, relationship an opportunity to work through it. And then I think you're going to have a much better entry into the season, and a much better experience come show day. I think, really taking on board the advice as to where you're at this point in time versus where, long-term you physically want your physique to be. You might be wanting to be a fitness level diva at some point, but you realistically are only bikini now. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Listen to the guidance of professionals on where you should be sitting as well. But other than that, I hope you've had a bit of a giggle out of some of our conversation today, and or taken some, little, I got to give myself an uppercut moment if you are one of the people doing this to yourself, and then you take something out of it, because, I think often a lot of the times the things that
no daggers to any of my clients. I love all of you guys. Okay. I do love all y'all, but just letting y'all know it's at the same time, we need to stop overthinking. I think this is just across the board for everybody.
It's so common and so common for amateurs, because it's a first time doing something, and it can be a pretty big overwhelming deal. Right. But, the point of the story is, you're not alone. So be able to be, open and have conversations to work your way through it.
Absolutely. You'll have a support system, especially if you're doing this, with the right people in your corner. It's very important, to open, like you said, open your emotions, let us know. But at the same time, just know that this is way more internal work that needs to be done than external. So
yeah, 100%.
Can't wait to see you at a show, Ali. So
oh my
really
God,
excited.
I am
Hopefully
keeping fingers crossed
here in the States.
Keeping fingers crossed that we can make this work and be there, because I would love to see you guys. I'd love to catch up with everyone. I can't wait to see Toby far out. It's been way too long.
Reunion time. So hopefully we can get you to skip over that big ass pond.
See all of my team. I think also too, you know, I can't wait to just see everyone that's opening the season, you know, across our stages here, your stages there. Fingers crossed I get to witness it in person. It's going to be mega. Both, but
I'm sure you guys have a big buzz. We have a huge buzz for this first show.
It's always a vibe. Always a vibe coming into a show and coming into a show season. I love it. I get motivated by it. It's awesome.
It's one of my favorites. It's the way we kind of like amp up that, you know, start of the prep for us too, right? So hey, we can't wait to have you back on stage. You're gonna make a badass comeback.
I can't wait.
First, I need to see you. So hopefully we can get her over here to the States, and you guys can meet her. For those that are, you know, obviously here in the United States, and maybe be at Orlando, and everyone that's coming from Australia that I know has been setting up some shows. I think I see a lot of Australians that are, you know, kind of saying they're gonna do Worlds or you know, a pro show, and so I'm looking forward to seeing so many of you.
I think that we will see quite a high contingent of Australians doing Worlds. Look, and they're the ones that can afford it, because I'll tell you now, and we've talked about this before, the flights are ridiculous. You know, the whole travel side of things is not as accessible or affordable as it normally is for us. So I think, you know, there'll be quite a few that will invest in that. There'll be a few that unfortunately probably just can't afford to do it, you know, and it's a shame that it's like that, but it is like that. So I'm kind of almost grateful that my show is not till the very end of the year. And I'm hoping by then flights increase, prices come down, and it's, you know, just looking.
Hopefully you guys get all these restrictions backed off way more, and you guys have a lot more freedom to be able to travel. So look forward to it, Ali. And
all right, darling.
See you guys on the next episode, guys. Thanks for listening.
Can't wait.
Next time.
Thanks, everyone. Speak soon. Bye.
Leah.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Queen Divas, Queens of Fitness podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Queen Divas Pod, on Twitter at Queen Divas 4, and follow our hosts on Instagram, Alicia at Alicia Gowans _WBFF Pro, and Steph at Stephanie Ayala 7. See you all next week.